Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Stupid for the 6th of November 2021. I hope you had an awful day because then I can cheer you up and this will be the highlight of your evening. Did you know that what we are doing here is actually bad? We are upsetting people and we are upsetting important people. For example, The Atlantic, a communist publication, has published something very interesting. People aren't meant to talk this much. So the experts at the Atlantic, they gathered up and they concluded, you know what the problem with society is? People are talking. If only we could have a society of mutes, then we would have a utopia. And they further add that breaking up social media companies is one way to fix this. The other way is shutting their users up. So you need to be quiet. You need to shut up because The Atlantic has demanded. By the way, buy their publications, give them clicks. Coming up close with the same energy, we got The Guardian, which claims that local outlets may lack audience size, but they can provide a vendor of legitimacy to fringe groups, experts say. Well, if experts say, research claims, studies have shown, then the sentiment is clear. We need to shut down the local press in order to protect democracy. Only a society that has a centralized press and a centralized output of information can have a democracy. Everything else is fascism. And speaking of fascism, you know that in a fascistic country, you don't have the ability to choose and to express yourself. But luckily, in the United States, you have that ability. You can express yourself as long as you do it in a manner that doesn't offend anyone. And what better way to articulate this than to point out that because last week we had Halloween, a lot of people expressed themselves in the wrong way. Here you have, for example, 3 girls that were dressing themselves as 3 blind mice and offended a very important person on Twitter who pointed out that remember when we talked about ableist Halloween costumes? See, when the tailor creates that costume, he pours in the hatred and the ableism, and now that costume has a magical aura that is hurting people, especially people on Twitter. Like this lady probably got PTSD. Now she's going to need psychological help because of these 3 women who used the wrong costume. Yeah, 3 able girls going as 3 blind mice isn't as funny as you think it is, bigot. Stop using disability as fucking Halloween costume. It's literally so trashy and gross. So this is probably a highly Christian woman, an evangelist, a person that's married to Jesus and doesn't want to see other people being trashy in society. This is a conservative person that looked on Twitter and she saw the attire of these 3 young ladies and said, no, this is not acceptable in my country. In my country, you're going to dress like a lady and you're going to behave appropriately. Trashiness has no place in modern America. And furthermore, it also made her sick, right? So it's gross. Now you see how Big Pharma and Big Tailor are working hand in hand with each other. Like the tailors have created this costume, which is causing a negative bowel movement to the conservative lady. And now she has to purchase stomach pills. So Big Pharma is in on it, Big Tailor is in on it, and the culture creating the Halloween is in on it. What a travesty. And the story doesn't end here because the new generation in America is so improperly raised that they actually get to talk back to their betters. Like imagine going on Twitter and talking back to a moral busybody. That is unheard of, but yet here we have this lady doing it, saying that she has a major sight disability and she doesn't care about the principles of an established member of our community. But luckily, the moral busybody has the correct response. Internalized ableism is still ableism. Do you understand this, bigot? Like she went to a university to learn this. She has the knowledge, so you should listen because she knows what she's talking about. No, it's not. Are you vision impaired? Literally, yes. Like she is literally vision impaired. And you have these 2 blind women typing at a computer. Then you should understand how it feels to be told how to feel about things. Your internalized ableism is still ableism. I can't make this much clearer. So hopefully I have managed to signal boost this champion of justice, this person who has changed society and whose name should now be in the annals of our history for making the world a much better place. By the way, I am really glad that Romania doesn't celebrate Halloween because it looks like such a scary holiday. And it's not scary just because of the costumes. It's also scary because of the people and the unacceptable behavior that some members of society get to show on Halloween. You see, a prestigious writer on Substack on all things socialism has posted a picture of themselves and their effort in order to stop the pandemic, to keep people safe, like a human being dedicated a significant amount of his life in order to keep people safe. So we get to see here that some kids have been getting upset about this, but frankly, I am beyond caring. There is a pandemic going on and you're spreading it. See, he knows that the children are infected. Now, you might say that, well, how can he know? Well, look, when you're afraid, you stereotype. So you assume all of them are infected. That's how you do. You look at the group, and if some people of the group are the problem, the whole group is the problem. Go home. So he is providing the children with masks, and he is providing the children with a heartful message. Go home. It isn't safe. Okay, he's a doctor. He knows. And of course, he got a lot of nasty, vile comments on Twitter. In 2021, vile comments on Twitter. But not only that, it turns out that someone has egged this gentleman's house and wrote "Las uns gehen, Brandon" on the garage with ketchup. And he hates Halloween. You know what? I hate Halloween too. How can you do this to a socialist? How can you do this to a person that wanted to keep you safe? This is not going to make the world a better place. Now, speaking of making the world a much better place, have you ever considered donating your body to science? That's a noble gesture, right? I mean, after you pass away, you don't need your body anymore. Maybe give it to someone else so that they can discover something and improve the life of the people that come after. Well, an Arizona man realized that his mother gave her body away for science. And it was supposed so that scientists can study her brain in order to find a cure for Alzheimer. However, this Arizona man was shocked to find out that his mother had her body strapped to a chair by the US military and detonated in what is considered to be a blast testing. Years later, Reuters also reported that her brain was never used for Alzheimer research. Instead, the body was sold off to the US military, to Uncle Sam, so it could be used as part of an experiment to measure damage caused by roadside bombs. Yikes. Now, as you can imagine, this got people outraged on Twitter because they couldn't see where the controversy is. You see, the person donated her body to science, and the body was used for science. So why are people complaining? Why don't they trust Uncle Sam some more? I mean, it's kind of like going to a bank and asking a loan so you can construct a house for your grandma. And then the bank finds out that you built a whorehouse. And then when the bank asks, like, hey, why did you use the body for other purposes? You say, well, what does it matter? It's still a building. You gave me money to construct the building. I constructed the building. Ah! Maybe, I don't know, maybe the mother wanted to donate her body in order to help people. As in science that cures illnesses rather than science that blows people up. But I guess you need the science that blows people up in order to be able to do the science that heals people in peace. Maybe that is the explanation. That is the moral for today. Speaking of the military, turns out that there were a couple of war games happening between the United States and Britain. Who do you think would have won? The best military in the world or the United Kingdom? Well, apparently the Royal Marines have been forced the US troops to surrender just days into a training exercise after eliminating almost the entire unit. Brandon, ¿y qué? The British commandos dominated. They dominated. By the way, if you see the commercial for the US Army, the word dominated is a little bit sexist. The US forces during a training exercise in California, so on their home turf, using a new battle structure. Exercise Green Dagger took place at the US Marine Corps 29 Palms base in the Mojave Desert in the Southern California. The US forces asked for a reset. They wanted a reset. They wanted to press the reset button. It's like flipping over the chessboard and asking, can we have a rematch? To which I wonder if the British went like, GG, no re. Halfway into the 5-day war fighting exercise, they suffered significant simulated casualties. At one point, the commando killboard an intelligent assessment of the level of damage inflicted upon enemy equipment and units, had a tick against almost every single American asset. Igzo Brandon! By the way, here's a fun fact, and I already told the people on my live stream about this story. So if you don't join my live stream channel, this is what you're missing. I was waiting at the bus station a couple of days ago, and I noticed that I'm waiting for way more than I should because around me there was a group of people now that were waiting. And at one point, one of the people in the group, they checked their phone and they said, oh look, the bus drivers are on strike. To which the guy next to him, and I swear to you, like with perfect English, like he didn't even speak in Romanian, with perfect English, he said, let's go, Brandon! And of course I got offended, but what can you do? In Romania, you can't punish people for things they say in real life. I know it's a fascist nation. Like, how can you insult the leader of the free world like that? And that got me thinking, how many other people are using this in their own language? I mean, when you see Joe Biden talking with the Pope, I'm looking at this picture, and now my brain, because I have like unconscious bias, I'm looking at this picture and they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And what I'm hearing is, Andiamo, Brandon. Now, you need to be very careful because all jokes aside, saying, Brandon, it's time to go, is actually a dangerous, powerful, magical incantation that is capable of creating harm. You don't know what I'm talking about? Well, apparently, a Southwest airline pilot has said, Brandon, ready to go. And because of that, you heard audible gasps from the passengers. How dare this pilot mock the mainstream media? How dare he insinuate that the multi-billion-dollar for-profit corporations on whose shoulder democracy rests would lie to people, that they would tell people that what's going on in front of their eyes isn't the truth. And because of this rich young lady, this privileged woman, would have demanded to deplane immediately because only a wealthy person has the capability of choosing not to take a flight. And she would never fly Southwest Air ever again until they ensure that the mentality impaired pilots like this one aren't allowed to fly. But luckily, the blue check marks on Twitter have realized that they have a duty to defend our democracy, and they have spoke out, showing the evil ways of this pilot. Southwest Airlines is now the pro-January 6th terrorist attack airlines. That's right. And the CNN analyst, an expert in the field, an anointed one, has compared the Brandon Igzo to rhetoric from ISIS, Nazis, and the Yeah, legend has it that the evil pilot was caught saying, we're going to have a landing soon. Thank you all for flying with the Southwest airline and have a nice day. I'll see you guys at the Capitol, if you know what I mean. The man should be in prison, honestly. Getting him fired isn't enough. How dare he mock the leader of the free world? What is it up with this level of unpatriotism? Unpatriotic behavior is what it is. And to mock the multi-billion-dollar corporations that are the mainstream media industrial complex, which on their shoulders our democracy rests. You shouldn't do that. So yes, It should be a crime. He should be in prison. Although I gotta say, this is a chant that can make people patriotic. It can make people love their president. So a person that used to hate the president before now absolutely loves him. Like, For example, here you go. Can I get an F Donald Trump? This is an example of an unpatriotic citizen. But after the airline pilot has made the chant, a Southeast airline pilot said, Brandon, say dambiche, on the airplane's public speaker. Very unsettling to have a MAGA lunatic flying an aircraft with people's lives at stake. See, it's all about the ideology. It's about the politics. Like, if you're a Democrat, man, you can fly like Superman. If you're a Republican, Republicans can't fly planes. It is known, Khaleesi. A pilot cursing the president of the United States. It is borderline terrorism, tovarish. Comrade, listen to me. No noble citizen would ever curse at the president. What do you think we are? A fascistic nation? Only in a fascistic state can the people protest the president. In the United States of America, people love the president. Southwest, please excommunicate this man. Only through the process of excommunication can he understand why it is good to be a Democrat. Republicans get excommunicated, and the moment they get excommunicated, they realize, damn it, I should be a Democrat, and then I can get a good, decent career. You need to be a member of the party to be allowed to join the working force. And then we have, this is our city. Good things happen in Philadelphia. Am I right? F. Donald Trump. I already read this message. But from a non-patriotic woman, a very conservative, for the country, for the people type of lady she has become. If Donald J. Trump used protection, you know where he's been. If that Southwest pilot has been so radicalized by the extremist forces in our society, is willing to shout slurs on an airplane like in a fascistic state? Has he been radicalized enough to fly that plane into the ground to make a political statement? That should terrify passengers and crew members. Shake yourselves to the core. Be afraid, people. I am telling you, be afraid. Be scared. Only a scared nation can make healthy decisions. And then, of course, we have Scott Dworkin. Hey, F you, Donald Trump. I can say that because despite what Trump thinks, this is still America. Have a great Independence Day. But take into account, if you say, Brandon, ikuzo, it means you're a coward.
If you look at that, if you look at what's going on with some of the big corporations with their woke agenda, when you look at the Brandon administration in terms of what they're doing. You know, I don't even know, like, do you know how that started? Like, it was, and like, you know, you have the media, they're hand-wringing over this, but, you know, it was at a NASCAR race, and they're doing an interview with a driver, I guess his name was Brandon, and the crowd starts chanting very colorful language about Joe Biden. And it was obvious that they were doing, and, you know, it is what it is. First of all, they said way worse about Trump for 4 years. We know that. But so they're chanting this, and so you have a reporter from NBC who knows that's what they're saying, and she's trying to cover for Biden. So she says, yeah, they're chanting, let's go, Brandon. And that was a lie. And it was a lie. And so this chant, I think, has taken on a life of its own because it exposes the dishonesty of these corporate reporters and what they do every day to try to lie. And so now you see it.
All right, it's time we take a break so that I may shamelessly shill my channel. If you guys like what I do here and you're watching it live, you can give me a super chat. If not, there's the link into the pinned comment. And if you click it, you have the opportunity to buy me a cup of coffee. You send me money, I buy coffee. That's how it works. And speaking of coffee, this is how you properly drink your coffee, you bigot.
Somebody in another component in Bradley has what they
Yeah, in Hunt, Ontario.
so I want to stay away from it. No offense. You got some activation in the coffee shop, right? I went to jail. Thank you, sorry, thank you. Fuck off, wait. Bye.
Are you guys familiar with the Kyle Rittenhouse case? Because now it's being discussed. I'm pretty much sure everyone knows about this kid. And people keep asking me, like, what do I think about it? Like, V, you need to tell me. What do you think about it? And I'm like, okay, fine. Let's look at a picture and see what we can think about it. So I'm looking at this picture and there's a tear dropping into my eye. Like, I'm already emotionally moved by this. Like, I'm getting all the weird feelings. Did you see it? $2.09 a gallon? Are you fucking kidding me? Like, where is this from? Why can't we have these prices again? Like, why is the gas price so high now? $2.09? Although, you know, now that I'm thinking about it, that's a good thing. Because that's how we fight climate change. You pump money into the government. Pump the wealth. Pump money, give the rich more money, give them cash, let the gas become more expensive. Do you know how much the gas needs to cost in order for us to fix the climate?
$5 a month.
Now, there was a climate conference, the COP26, where they talked about the environment and how they're going to tax you. And Joe Biden says, big mistake for China to skip COP26 in-person climate summit. No, it's not a big mistake. They probably phoned in, Joe. They probably used Skype. They weren't acting like bourgeoisie twats like the Westerners to talk about fixing the climate. Look at these assholes. Choking Mother Gaia. If you want to vote green, stop voting for these people. And stop supporting these companies. Look, they're choking Mother Gaia. Look. Jeff Bezos' 48 million Gulfstream leads parade of 400 private jets. 400! Do you have a private jet? No? They have 400! They're choking Gaia. Poor Gaia. I feel bad for her. I wonder how the CO2 emissions spiked that day. It probably polluted more than that place pollutes in an entire year. My God, get a nuclear jet at least. Holy hell. Look at these people. I bet they even have the AC on in the jet. How much do I need to walk to the store in order to buy a loaf of bread rather than take a car? In order to make it even. What's the point in me not polluting if they're going to take 400 private jets? 400! Not 399, not 41. 400 private jets! You're polluting more than I can pollute in my entire life. There's nothing I can do in my miserable existence to compare with this shit. If I want to pollute, there's nothing I can do. I'm a little schooler compared to you guys. Why aren't the people that are green activists upset about this is what I don't get. I get why they're doing it. Right? It feels nice sitting their ass on that comfy chair, stuffing their face with meat, and sitting in a room with AC while they're telling us, me, to stop polluting. Bitch, there is nothing I can do in order to make it even. Like, even if I were to have 1,000 kids and I would get all the 1,000 kids to pollute as much as they want, it wouldn't be equal to 400 jets. I don't get it. You know, like, seriously, I get why the media isn't talking about it. I get it. But what I don't get is, like, why is it that the people who are green inclined aren't talking about being upset about this shit? How are they being taken seriously? Honestly, it's like Chef Gordon Ramsay stuffing his face with a delicious steak while telling you to go vegan. It makes absolutely no sense.
No more exploitation of people and nature and the planet. No more exploitation. No more blah blah blah. No more whatever the fuck they're doing inside there. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah. No more blah blah blah.
At least if you were to tell them to do the blah 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 on Skype, they would be polluting less, Greta. You would save the planet if you tell them to do the blah 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 on Skype. It would be more productive. They can raise our gas prices from Skype. They can do it virtually. It's 2021. They don't need to fly over there. Greta, get on a bicycle and take Joe Biden bicycling all the way from the US to that coal bullshit so that he doesn't pollute. You know what he does when he goes there? You know, like he actually took your advice, alright? He didn't blah blah blah. You wanna see what he did? Okay, fine.
This conference was one of the most important meetings in history. You had a chance to make decisions and reach agreements which will characterize the generations to come. You are in a position of extraordinary power. You can change forever the trajectory we are on. You can make a world that is once again full of hope, not fear. This is my message from Earth to come. On behalf of we...
There you go, Greta. No more blah blah blah. He listened to your advice. You should thank him. By the way, I'm pretty sure fact checkers will say that he wasn't asleep. You know what? I want the job as a fact checker. Like, what university do I need to go to in order to learn how to fact check? Because I can apply. Like, look, I would put on my resume how I would fact check this scenario. I would say that he was just closing his eyes, trying to take it in. Like, the speech was so moving that he actually had to close his eyes in order to imagine a world where CO2 wouldn't exist. Like, no CO2 whatsoever. Zero CO2. What, you think I'm joking? Like, look here, you bigot, from Reuters. Alright, Reuters. Some of the world's most protected forests are becoming carbon emitters, contributing to climate change by emitting more carbon than they absorb. That is according to a new report that has alarmed researchers. By the way, do you guys remember, like, are you old enough to remember when you had the shopping malls forcing plastic bags over paper in order to save the environment? You remember that? Well, listen here, you bigot. The science is always changing. Like, at the time, it was scientific consensus that we need to use plastic bags. Now, the science has changed. It's always evolving. And they're pushing paper bags again. And paper straws. And at the same time, you have to wear a mask, you fucking bigot, which has microfiber. But don't mention it. Alright, like... And now, apparently, the science, yet again, is changing. The scientific consensus realigned. And they're coming to the conclusion that the forests may be bad. Alright, like the forests might produce more than they absorb. Horrible, Greta! Greta, what are we going to do about it, huh? What if Captain Planet was made today? You think that if you take him to a forest, he loses his power? So, what is the solution? What is the final solution to the carbon problem? Let's listen to Prince Charles.
To create the environment that enables every sector of industry to take the action required. We know this will take trillions, not billions of dollars. We also know that countries, many of whom are burdened by growing levels of debt, simply cannot afford to go green. Here we need a vast military-style campaign to marshal the strength of the global private sector. With trillions at its disposal, far beyond global GDP, and with the greatest respect, beyond even the governments of the world's leaders, it offers the only real prospect of achieving fundamental economic transition.
So what does a military-style campaign mean? Because there's an actual strong definition of what it represents. It means authoritarianism. It means that the government can now interfere in the economic sector like in a fascist state. It can actually fire people, it can set prices, it can micromanage the economy, it can suspend certain human rights, and more interestingly, and I don't know if this is what Prince Charles also wants, it can use violence, because military-style campaign. And it's also fascinating that he says that this is not something that nations can do. So I guess it's a super nation organization, maybe like the UN, maybe something new, we don't know, but it's very interesting. I love how Prince Charles thinks. It's going to bring a lot of healing and most importantly, unity together. This is why I'm a leftist, because I love the strength, I love the unity, I love being on the side of the people that are winning. I want to be like Boris Johnson. You see, at first he was a bigot. He used to be a denialist. He used to be against this, but now he's on the side of victory. Look at this. I'll be asking world leaders to take action on coal, cars, cash. Yes, cash is polluting, and trees to keep alive the prospect of limiting global temperatures. So yes, the cash are a problem. Like, why would you let the peasantry carry something valuable? Why would you allow the peasants to have valuable things? Cashless society. All right, no more value, nothing. You take what you get and you're happy about it. Because if you're not happy, you may not get anything. That is a proper society where the government just decides who gets stuff. It's the perfect system. In other words, the only bad thing that Benito Mussolini did was the nationalism. The economic system was awesome, according to our leaders. And think about it, right? Like Benito Mussolini, he had like the great idea, but he only kept it for the Italian elites. Like the correct thing to do is to share the wealth with the other world's elites. So that the 1% from all over the world gets to benefit. But in order for us to achieve that, in order for us to achieve the equity, we need to pay higher gas prices. So the transfer of wealth needs to happen from the poor to the elites. So we can be equitable with our elites because they're working hard in order to make sure that we are safe. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Week is Stupid. And if you did, I will be live streaming right after this on my live stream channel. There's a link into the pinned comment. And hopefully you guys will join me there and we can talk some more. If not, I'll see you in the comment section. And if you like my show, please consider sharing it around. And I'll see you guys in the comment section. Take care.